All right, everybody, you've asked and now we're going to answer. You've seen any of our training series, you see that we utilize DT Systems electronic bird launchers, right? Okay, they're kind of expensive and we understand that everybody has a budget, especially if you only have one dog. I'm going to show you today how we can use this rolled up chunk of wire to essentially replace this in your program. Hey everybody, Ethan here with Standing Stone, and yes, I'm going to show you how this can essentially replace this in your program. These bird launchers have pros, but they also have cons. I am a big advocate for the use of electronic launchers because they allow us to simulate an essentially wild bird. That's our goal with this. But if you do it wrong, you can screw your dog up. One con of these is they're expensive. We get that. We can justify it because we use them all the time. If you can't, I'm going to show you how this will work for you. Let me get this set down here, okay? This I've always referred to as a bird cone. Yes, I took 9th grade geometry. I know that this is a cylinder, hello, but I tried for a couple weeks to come up with a better name and I couldn't. So bird cone it is. I want to talk about this first though. If you've watched any of our videos, you see us use these a lot, especially in the development of a young dog. The key here is that this electronic launcher allows us to simulate wild bird experience. We have control over when the bird comes up, which allows us to teach the dog when they've overpressured, when they haven't. It gives us some additional hands while developing a dog naturally. That's key here, okay? A lot of folks have been asking about more cost-effective or budget-friendly ways to train their dog. And the first thing that people jump to is put your dog on a check cord so that you can help control the situation more. And what I want to point out here is that I'm all about developing natural pointing, and the check cord doesn't allow us to do that. That's us essentially making the dog do it, and that's not what we're about. So the launcher allows you to develop a dog naturally. Now, a couple cons here are if your timing is poor, these can cause more problems than they're actually worth. And then the last thing with it would be that they are fairly expensive. If you're planning on using them more than once, definitely, or with more than one dog, it's not that big a deal. Or if you can get a little bit of a collective, like a club or something like that, then multiple people are benefiting from the launchers. But this still is my go-to. Now, you may be saying, I'm going with the budget-friendly option if I think it works for me. Let me set this down and I'll talk about these guys for a second. Okay, this is chicken wire. I've got black, it's poly-coated chicken wire, so it'll last a little bit longer. Again, longevity versus a single dog. This is gonna be a small stage in their life. You'd be still asking, I know you're scratching your head, like how or what is this and why does it maybe help me? We're going to set this in the grass. The fact that it is chicken wire, it's like 90-ish% see-through, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, you are going to lose these. So be prepared for that. No, do not put streamers on them because that's also bad. But we're going to set this in the grass and it's going to disappear. It gives us the ability to then set a bird inside of this area and they can fly out the top. It gives them a boundary, which when we sleep the birds, and I'm going to show you how to do that, they wake up, they kind of bump into the edge, they feel like they're in their natural environment. And it gives us control over where the birds are at, which is another benefit of the bird launcher. We know where the birds are at for our young dogs that are kind of learning this process. You can make all of the bird cones that you need for less than $10, okay? If that doesn't fit into your budget, we may need to talk about a new hobby. Just saying. Now, this here is 5 foot of wire. I'm actually going to show you how to make one, okay? The specific dimensions. I want to throw this up on the screen so folks have got it. We can also include it in the description below. But 5 foot of wire this away. We're going to take our wire, fold it in half, roll it up, zip tie it, and then we have a 2 foot tall, approximately 20-ish inches around, depending on how it's squished here or there. Across, okay? Diameters, not circumference. Now, once we put this out in the grass, because it's a mesh, it's going to disappear, especially at dog's level, and you'll see this. You're probably going to lose a few of them in the field, so making a couple extra is not a bad idea. Just don't hit them with the brush hog, speaking from experience only. I'm going to grab some stuff, and I'm going to show you how quick we can make one of these. All right, so what we're going to end up doing here is take our wire, Fold this in half. It gives us a little more rigidity for when you have a 2-year-old thinks these things are really cool and he's going to run over and stomp them all in half. That's something that also happens, okay, because they're kind of cool. Fold this wire in half. This is totally one of those 5-minute craft deals. You don't need a whole lot of help. Once you get it all smashed out, then we're going to take a handful of zip ties. We just roll this bad boy up like that. And then we're going to run our zip ties right in this zone. It's just overlapped. We need to keep it fairly even. Come on now. One at the top, one at the bottom is going to hold it into place pretty quick. Then we can run a couple in the middle just to add some stability, rigidity aspect of stuff here. Go up and around. Nice, very nice, very nice. Now, you may be thinking here, okay, I just heard you list that this thing basically does exactly what a bird launcher does. Why would I not just use these? And why would I use a bird launcher? Because this also has cons, okay? First of all, we don't have any control over what the bird does here. I'm going to show you. It works most of the time, but there are a couple things that those dimensions that I gave you are important about. If you make them any taller, the birds have trouble getting out of them. If you make them any smaller around, the birds have trouble getting out of them. If you make them any bigger, the birds don't have trouble getting out of them and they have trouble staying in them. So these are very specific as far as be close to what I gave you, plus or minus an inch or so. Plus or minus a few inches. Now, one more thing is, there, done, huzzah. I hope you put a timer when we get this one edited together so you can see if I made the 5-minute craft or not. I've got a pair of snippers, where you see them, right here on the ground. That's a good place for tools, Ethan. All right. Oh, a dove. That's the 3rd dove that I've seen this year, guys. Dove season opened yesterday. All right. Clip these off. We're good to go. Now, key to this whole thing is this is going to allow the dog to pressure the bird to escape, and usually this causes some interference. If the dog tries to take out a bird, they end up running into the mesh, and then the bird is able to escape still yet, most of the time. Key thing being here that you have to have quality birds. If you do not have quality birds, this is only going to create more problems because the birds won't come out of the cones. They'll sit there, they'll bump into things, your dogs will end up catching them, all kinds of problems. But now we're going to put these out. I'm going to show you how to set birds in them, kind of how to place them, and then we're going to put a dog on 2 different birds and situations and show you how they work. Follow along. So we've got our first cone. We've selected some cover. We've looked at our wind here. This is actually fairly light cover as well yet, but you can see already how that's going to blend in fairly easily with the grass around it. I swear to you, dogs will not see them. But we can pick something or other here, make a little pad area. You want this to be natural for the bird and seem natural-ish environment for the dogs, okay? Now I'm going to take my first bird here. Got a pheasant. Now, a lot of folks want to know how to set birds, and they do some combination, or have heard you dizzy them or something and then throw them in the grass. Well, there's always the potential for injuring the bird, and in that situation, then you don't have a quality bird anymore, and it's going to cause issues. So what we're going to do is take their head and tuck it under their wing. Watch that again here. We're going to take their head and tuck it under one wing. Then when we turn the bird on that side, it's only going to take a couple seconds. It's actually going to fall asleep. And we take it and lay it in the grass on the side that its head's tucked in. Now, ideally, what's going to happen here is the bird's going to wake up. It's going to stand there. It may try and run, and it'll tuck and it'll bump into the wire and go, oh, I can't run that way. Oh, I can't run that way. And then it'll sit still. But it's got this big opening up top so that it can fly if, once it's awake and alert and ready to roll, if a dog overpressures it, it's going to be able to fly out the top. That's the idea. I've got a chucker now, depending on which birds you can get access to and have the ability to train. Same exact thing works. It does not work quite as well with quail for reference, but you can do it. We're going to do this here. You can kind of pull these feet back just a little bit, and when they're relaxed, you know that the bird is asleep. It will wake up in a couple minutes. It'll pop up, stand up, and be ready to roll. Now, I want to show this too. As soon as its head pops out, it's alert, and it's awake, and it's fine. Woo, there it goes, right? So, again, tuck the head. It's going to go underneath that wing, and then the bird's actually going to lay on this side. Pull those legs back just a little bit. So I'm going to run up and set this one up ahead. Make sure your cone's all the way on the ground. And bird's sleeping inside the cone. Cool. Let's see here. Check my wind and make sure. Wind's coming up this way. She's going to have to hop into the grass. Just pull a little feather here. I've got extra feathers in this bag. Go. Yep, she's going to come right off this edge and be able to smell it. One more thing that I didn't really mention on, I want to make sure because this is important. We're trying to utilize the bird being wild and natural-like with the use of this cone here. We need to let the birds have time to wake up. It takes 2 to maybe 3-5 minutes, somewhere in that vicinity. Give them a little bit of time. Go get your dog, go get your stuff once you've got things set, and then come back to them. We don't want to come up on these bird cones while those birds are still sleeping. It doesn't give us the ability to utilize dog pressuring bird, dog learning, right? So let me grab that stuff and we'll be right back with you. All right, guys, so I've got Trix with me. I'm just going to take her on a short little hunt. We're going to work this first bird that's really close, and then we'll move on to that next bird. Take a look at what's happening as we work this first bird. I think it'll be kind of cool to see how the cones actually can work. We'll see how she does. And I think we've got enough time. Birds should be awake, so we'll get started. Okay. Kind of caught wind there. Never really moved in the right exact spot. There you go. Cool. I like it. Whoop. Whoop. All right. Now I've got my bird. It's awake. It's up. There it goes. Good dog. Good dog. See, that's what we want that to look like, folks. Good. Nice job, baby girl. Nice job, okay? That was fun. That was a perfect example. I just turned to say, hey, my birds are, oh, there it went, right? That's what we want. It was a good quality bird that was able to show what it looks like if it gets overpressured just a little bit by me walking in. That looked very wild, very realistic. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay. Same thing here. We got another bird tucked up in. We'll let her hunt this out. Good. Getting birdie in there. Oh, she's getting it pinned down now. Give her some time to relax. We don't need to rush in on everything. I've got the ability to know that bird should take off for me if she makes a mistake here. Whoop. Bird's up as well. Good. Woo, that'll be a fun retrieve. That again, folks, same situation. Bird was up already, ready to rock. Just me walking in on it essentially overpressured that bird, much like a wild bird would. We'll get down as she's coming back with this. I think she's got it. Good girl. Nice job. All right, folks, that's how it looks. You've got birds that can be set and be a little more natural, a little more wild-like. It takes the pressure off of trying to dizzy them or figure that out. Sleeping birds is really easy. And then they also kind of have the ability to stay right there. Now, if you leave them too long, birds can get up and fly out of there or move out of there on their own. But it's one of those things that I would much rather come to an empty cone than come to a cone with a bird that's still sleeping. You know, it kind of defeats the whole purpose. All in all, I hope this helps you guys. It's kind of a cool tool that you can use, one that I've been using for a while, but often kind of overlook or forget that I should be showing you these fun things. Haha, I'm the guy with the pink gun. This is Trix. We'll see you in the next video, folks.